It is another incredible interview in my From Pain to Purpose series, and we have a great thing to talk about today. We're talking about being stuck and what it is that you can actually do to get unstuck. Is there something that happened in the past that every now and then it'll get triggered by, I had a friend who a photograph triggered something in her and it brought her back to this place. So how do you get out of that? How do you get unstuck? How do you get cleared? That's what we're talking about today with Susan Palmer Woods. She's an empowerment coach. She's a mental emotional release practitioner, a Reiki master. She does hypnotism. She does something that's really unique, which is I'm going to talk about this. She does a breakthrough session that's like a very intensive, like 8-hour thing. So we're going to talk about it with Susan. Thank you so much for being with me here today. I know there's going to be incredible insight that you will get from this. So feel free to share it with people that you think maybe need to hear this message. So Susan, give us a little bit of background. And I know we were talking before we started here about triggers. So do you want to start kind of with that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, we were talking about, I saw the movie Rocket Man last night, and I got really triggered by the way Elton John's parents treated him. And really visceral reactions, like I shrunk in my chair and then I wanted to throw something at the screen, and I was all lit up about this injustice of how his parents treated him and how he dealt with it or not, right? His way of coping with it was numbing with sex and drugs and alcohol and performing and doing and having this external persona. And he even went back to his parents to get love and validation, and they just shut him down. And I felt that, and I thought, oh my gosh, is this where, me just being so passionate about what I do, helping people get unstuck so they don't treat their kids that way, or is there something in me that still needs to be healed? Because anytime that we're triggered, it means that there's something to look at. Right. And yeah. And so for my life, most of my life, I was looking for that validation that I'm enough. And I had this imposter syndrome and this fear of unworthiness and fear of not enoughness. And that transferred into parenthood for me too. Like, I did my best to be a fantastic parent. And I worked a lot as a single mom. I worked a lot. And so I know there are times where I didn't give my kids all the attention that they needed, or, going through my 30s and I was looking and trying to fix myself and trying to numb myself because I was miserable and unfulfilled, even though I had the big job and the title in the house. I was unfulfilled. So I'm sure that means that somehow, it came out in my parenting too. So with this trigger, was it that guilt that, because I know I've felt guilt before, related to that. So I had to do my processes to release and to look at so that I can still be passionate about helping kids and parents and come from a place of, in the Hawaiian language, it's pono. So just being right with myself so that I can be complete and hold space for the people who are hurting. Because if I'm hurting, then I'm going to be triggered, and I can't help but be in my own way as I'm helping other people. So that's why it's really important for practitioners to do their own work. Me being one of them, just this morning, doing my work to make sure that I'm clear and do forgiveness and this process.
Right. I guess forgiveness is a huge, huge one. I mean, because we do the best that we can at the time. You know what I mean? So you have to go back and say, maybe I didn't do everything I could have, but I did the best I could at that moment in time. So it's okay to kind of forgive yourself, maybe go back and have a conversation with your child, which I guess in the movie, he tried to do that, but then was rejected again. Is that how it went? I have to watch that movie now that you mentioned it. Go ahead.
I felt this way with the Tanya Harding movie, where just the mom was just so difficult, and Mommy Dearest way back in the 80s or something like that, so it's been that. And I just want to just say amen to the for that we're all doing the best that we can. Because if you look back at yourself, I did a live about this a while ago. Guilt is like looking back and beating yourself up for not having the awareness and the information that you do now back then. Right. And that's not fair.
And it's not going to get you, and it's not going to put you into your power, put you into production, put you into making things different, changing your life, changing the relationship. Yeah, there's no room for it. It's just an empty space, very, very low energy frequency, which gets you stuck forever, which is such a waste.
And permeates and affects the people around you too, because
right,
if you're looking through a lens of life of I'm shame or I'm guilty or I'm not enough, then that's what you're going to continue to validate, attract, and you're going to put out into the world, and you're going to judge more people, right? Because you're judging yourself.
Oh my gosh. Whoa. Yes.
Yeah. So it really matters to take care of yourself. And that's, my friend put a quote on Facebook today. It says, "The child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth."
Ooh.
African proverb, right? So you need to feel good. And it's not okay to, and I don't just mean zippity doo dah all day, but I mean intrinsically, and just settle and just be miserable and unfulfilled and stuck. You have choice,
right?
And
I think again, the forgiveness is a huge piece, because if you look back at a parent who maybe didn't show you the love that you wanted, look back at their life. Like they probably did better than their parents did, or at least they tried to. So that's so important. And once you can give yourself what wasn't given to you, and you have the choice to do that, to love yourself, that's up to you. You know what I mean? And then forgive the past and meet them where they are, forgive them, love them. It's so powerful. So let's talk about this 8-hour session that you do, which I think is probably like so incredible for so many people. Can you give us an example of the process, like the people, maybe a case study of someone that came to you and where they were at, and how you kind of guided them in using various techniques? I guess everyone comes in and you kind of have to pick and choose, well, this is where we need to go with this, so go ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this breakthrough process, excuse me, is, an 8 to 10 hour process over 2 days. And I do it through Zoom, or I'll do it in person if people want to fly in or if they're local. And it's so the process itself, and then I'll kind of give an example as a case study. We spend the first few hours just letting the person empty out and share, like, why are you here? What else? What else? What else? And just get out, because where else do we have space to just let it all go without fear of judgment, retaliation, embarrassment, any of that? And I'm listening for language constructs. So I'm not getting into the story. I'm listening to their model of the world. How are they? What are their beliefs? Right? So understanding the cause and effect, what they're saying, this is why I'm this way, or this happened, or I can never do this, right? And I'm listening to the language, and I'm writing down their beliefs and any triggers and any dichotomies or things where they're inside, they're battling against each other on the inside. And I'm writing all of this down. And so it's digging up, and then we're getting to the very root of the deepest belief, that which, when you let go of that belief, will allow you to open up so much more in your life. So, for example, if at the end of a few hours we get down, and I'm looking at a through line through all the stories that you told and everything that you shared, and it was, I'm not safe, or I'm not enough, or I'm not lovable. And then I say, Dale, what would open up in your life if you no longer had this belief? And then you go, oh, right. And then you can start imagine what's possible. Then then we need to really set up what it is that you do want. So this is all what you don't want. What is it that you do want? so that you can be clear. And you may not know yet until you do this release work. Then the really powerful part of the breakthrough process is called mental emotional release. And that's by Dr. Matt James. And I learned this process through the Empowerment Partnership. Mental emotional, and he has a book on it that's fantastic, Mental Emotional Release. Mental emotional release is where you release your limiting beliefs and the stuffed emotions that you've been shoving down forever and that are popping up and are looking like things like road rage, yelling at your kids, wanting to throw something at a screen when you watch a movie, overreacting and blaming and judging. So anytime that, this is a generalization, but anytime that you're overreacting to a situation, like that's out of proportion, generally that means there's something that's trying to get your attention that's ready to be released. We've been told, like since we were little, we were told, stop crying. You're not hungry. You should have gone to the bathroom. You don't want that. What do you know? And we're taught to question, like, oh, I thought I felt this way, but I guess not, right? Or man up, right? Or so we just shove our emotions down, and we shove them down, and we put on this mask, right? And it's either Elton John performing, or it's me striving at work, or it's another client who's also successful and is super controlling, right? Has to control the environment, has to control his house, has to have it very clean and very restrictive. And that's just masking these feelings and these beliefs that have been pushed down for so long. And it's like pushing down a beach ball underwater. Eventually it pops up and hits you in the face. Right. And instead of going, oh, there's the ball to take care of, we go, nope. And we push it back down. So mental emotional release is a process that incorporates neuro-linguistic programming, hypnotherapy, timeline therapy, and Huna energy work. And I use the elements, and I use Huna energy work during the process so that my clients are feel safe and can release this baggage.
Right. So can we talk a little bit, because I'm enthralled with this information and aware of some of the stuff that you're talking about, but particularly control, because I feel like there's a lot of people that are in that place. So what would that indicate, like say well, obviously like a child that didn't have any control. So now as an adult, they're wanting to control everything. But is there some way, is that like common, like of your clients that come in, is there a common emotion or whatever you want to call it that shows up more often than others? Is that it, or is it guilt? Is it control? Is it not loving? Is it, you know what I mean? Is there a common one that you see?
Yeah. So what?
So I kind of asked you two questions.
Yes, you did. Right. So
yeah, a little bit.
So that's okay. That's okay. That's exactly what I do too. Is I ask like 5 questions because I'm so excited. So it's okay. So the one about controls, I would say it depends on the person. But if you think about it, if you want to control your environment, what might an emotion be related to needing to control that?
What comes to mind is just like kind of being out of control in your brain, maybe. But I think there's some other stuff that I'm not.
So it could be fear of what might happen, fear of not being safe, fear of not being in control, not trusting myself. I can't handle what might happen, so I need to, and I can, and you can't really control everything, but you have this perceived, perception that you can control. One of my clients, that was that way. It was not really controlling, but keeping everything really clean and controlling, because that was modeled from his father. And he was rewarded for keeping everything clean and organized. So it was, so for someone that might be, I'm loved when, and it's also being modeled. And so I'm doing this because this is what I know how to do. So it depends. It really depends on the person. As far as the emotions, in mental emotional release, we release not only the limiting belief or beliefs that come up during that beginning process, they also let go of anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt, and anxiety. And so it is, and this process is so powerful that you don't actually relive these events. So I take you through a process where you trust your unconscious mind, you're able to release it, and it's just gone. And the looks on people's faces, they transform. So people who were overwhelmed, stressed out, unfulfilled, and searching for something. Like I was one of those people that did a whole bunch of personal development work and I was still unfulfilled. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? And this process it just released.
Wow.
And so now
through that. So does that include like a hypnotherapy as well?
Yeah.
Technique. That is what it is.
Well, it's part of it. So it's a combination of neuro-linguistic programming because I'm using my words, which also put you in a trance.
Okay.
It's also visualization and mental emotion. The process itself is mental emotional release, which this book really details out. It's taking you out. So your unconscious mind, organizes all of your memories along a timeline, right? So if I was to say, Dale, if you were to point to your future, where's your future?
Mm-hmm.
Where would you point?
If I was to point to my future?
Yeah.
Where would I point?
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that I have a vision.
Yeah.
So
I didn't. Yeah, and I didn't put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
I'm not understanding fully what.
Yeah. So your unconscious mind stores your emotions in chronological order, like a filing cabinet. Okay. And so, and people store these emotions in different directions. That's called a timeline. And so for me, my future, I would point forward. As I say, where's your future? I would say, my future is that way. Where's your past? My past is that way. Okay. Some people, oh, my future is that way and my past is that way. Sometimes it's my future is that way and my past is that way. Everyone is different, but it's stored along a timeline. Mm-hmm. So with mental emotional release, we take you back along the timeline to the very earliest time where this emotion or this belief happened. And it's magical. And it's a very quick process. Each emotion can be 5 to 7 minutes each. So you are not reliving these events, which I think is so that you're not re-traumatized. And then you're able to release the emotion and keep the memory, right? Because
you look at it differently. You look at it completely differently.
Because there's love and fear, right? Are really the two primary emotions that we have. Well, all those other emotions that I talked about. So when you release anger, what comes in its place is that awareness and compassion and love and joy, and it falls into place. So you can remember being sad, but you can no longer get triggered in your body. Right. So your friend who had the picture, who was triggered, would, instead be like, I remember that. And I have this perspective about this now. Right. And this is so much more. It's like, if I want to know that an iron is hot, I can either hold my hand on an iron that's hot and keep it there and keep it burning so that I know not to touch it, or, put my other hand there, or I could touch it and then not touch it again and get the learning.
Right.
And know not to touch it again. So with this process, you're getting the learning because it's the learning that supports you. Sometimes people go, well, I can't let go of my anger because that protects me. Actually, anger is toxic in the body. And right. And these emotions that you're storing that you're not dealing with are toxic in the body and often come out in things like autoimmune diseases, thyroid diseases, and so many other diseases that we're seeing out there, because it has to come out somehow, and it's got to get your intention to deal with it, because you're not meant to keep it inside like that, right? Wow. So get the lessons, because life is all about learning and growing. But if you're like this and you're protecting yourself and you're putting on this persona, this face, it's got to come out, and it will come out at some point.
That's great. I mean, I love the Tony Robbins quote, like, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah.
And it's true. I mean, it's true, because what you say is that pain is going to make you sick, both physically and emotionally. So, yeah. And it's interesting. I remember reading an article about certain organs that are affected by certain emotions.
Yes.
So that was very interesting to me, especially like women's organs.
Yeah.
and certain things that are stuck emotionally show up in those particular organs.
The Louise, the Louise Hay book, You Can Heal Your Life, is fantastic, and it has an index in the back. And so I'll include that with my clients as well sometimes. So someone had an ankle issue, and I looked it up, and sure enough, it was something that we were talking about, and it just validates, right? And I did the same thing. I broke my ankle when I wasn't moving forward, and also our words are so powerful. So if we're like, oh my God, this job is killing me. Oh my God, this job is killing me. You know, it's like an offhanded remark, but words are powerful. Words are creation, right? And so then once you release this, now what? Now clients are like, these thoughts that have been consuming me, these ruminating thoughts and these worries, and you know, it's not there anymore. What do I do? What do I think? What do I do now? Like, this is amazing. They feel incredibly light and free and full of possibility. This has healed families. It's healed relationships. It's gotten people on their purpose and on their path. I just did a breakthrough session with a 21-year-old who was filled with anxiety and fear, and she's in medical school, and that released. So it's just gives, you know, and I just worked with someone in his 60s who had stayed in his house for years. And so it's just the continuum. So what do I see is I just show up and allow the process. There is a process. And then once the MER, or the mental emotional release, is done, then we get to do visioning for the future. Now, what do you want? You know, and what's possible? And I do some hypnotherapy and getting people to really see what they were like with this old belief and what they were like with this new belief, and just embody it. So that, you know, and it's so powerful, because there's really requisites for change that are, you have to, well, 5 requisites, 5 things that have to happen for lasting change. One is you have to be ready and willing to change, right? You have to want to. I don't have permission. It's not ethical. I can't wave a magic wand and fix you, right? Like you have to do the work, and you have to be ready for it. And I've had people show up that think they're ready and they're not. And they have to be ready. And I'd love to talk to people who are like, I'm not sure if I'm ready. The second one is to do the release work, so that you get rid of the baggage. Get rid of the baggage. Then after that, it's really knowing where you're going, having a direction for your life, and starting to be intentional in creating this vision, understanding your values, so that you can create goals that are aligned with your values, because willpower only lasts for so long. And if that is not what you're trying to do, is not in alignment with your values, you will not do it, right? You'll check out.
Wow.
So, right. And so then it's about staying focused and being in action. So it's creating new habits, strategies, beliefs, and ways of embodying the truth of who you are, so that, and it doesn't disrupt everything in your life. You just feel more confident. You feel more in your body, and then stuff still comes up. It's not like a one and done, because it's kind of like a trail horse that's got these grooves and goes the same way all the time. And if you take them off the trail, they'll only go for so long, then eventually it'll wander back to the trail. So you have to create new grooves, and that's where the coaching comes in. So I start out with the breakthrough process first to get rid of the baggage. Then we move forward, creating the magnificence of, you know, the life that you really want, and getting clarity on what that is.
Wow. How liberating, how empowering, how wow.
Yeah.
And everybody can do it. You know, everybody, if they're willing, if they want it, if they really, really want it, and they allow themselves and believe that they deserve it. That's like the big word, I think.
Yeah. And I think there has to be enough of a curiosity to get into a conversation to then explore what's possible, because a lot of the people don't feel they're worthy, but they do deep down in the truth of who they are. Not the crap that has been conditioned on them, or that they've picked up along the way, because we're meaning-making machines. And so, you know, but there's enough of a curiosity to say, I'm sick of being sick and tired. I'm sick of being unfulfilled. I'm sick of having this awful relationship. I'm sick of, right? And the work begins here. So it doesn't mean you're going to get divorced. It doesn't mean you're going to quit your job. It means you're going to be empowered to be at cause. And instead of acting out of fear, you're going to act out of empowerment and calm and clarity. You know?
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And it goes really fast, and people can go on my website and they can see testimonials. It goes by that fast. Wow. So it doesn't feel like, you know, a 2-day long thing. So it's amazing. And I recommend everyone go through it.
Yeah.
I help 18-year-olds to 65-year-olds and 72-year-olds. So we all.
So after the 2-day process, do you continue on?
Yes.
Create their new life, basically.
Yes.
Help them create it. And okay. That's
yes.
Good.
Yes. Well, then as things come up, and clients may say, you know, oh, this person at work is just frustrating me. It's just not listening. And it's just, right. And so we're like, okay, cool. And it's magic. Like, I never know what's going to happen. Because like you said, I incorporate so many different things to help people, and I just allow it to flow. And then people just show up as they are. And then we do this work. And if it ends up being triggered from a situation in their teens or something, we release that. Or if it's that they need a different perspective, then they get reframed. They just live their life, and as things come up, they get clearer and clearer and clearer.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Wow. So good. I love it. Yeah. I mean, I just believe that we have the power to really create a new story, just to turn the chapter, do the healing, do the work, and then just start anew and really just bring what you were meant to bring, you know, as that little child who was pure and innocent, what your gifts were, you know what I mean? Like, I like to think back, like, for me too, like when I was a young child, like I had a beautiful childhood. I mean, I feel like I did. My parents did a great job, I think, with us for the most part, you know, but I love to think back when I was little and like what my aspirations were, what my vision was, what I loved, what excited me, you know, like, and sometimes bringing people back to that is like, oh yeah, you know, I used to be this way, or I used to be that way. And it's like, okay, let's bring that back in again, because that's who you were, that's who you are. Yeah. It's just been covered up and smothered, and all of the crap that covered it up. But fantastic. Go ahead.
So, and the interesting thing you brought up, I'm so glad that you said that, because there have been clients where they had great childhoods, and yet there was something in there that was causing fear or anxiety or overwhelming stress. And so it doesn't have to be a traumatic childhood, because we are, there's so much social media, especially now, gosh, these kids, poor all of us, but, you know, with social media and comparison and pressure, and kids having to now have school shooting drills. Right. So it's not just the parents, and it's not just the crappy job. It's so much that we just don't know. Because if there's millions of bits of information that we're taking in per second, and we can only process 126 of it, there's a lot going on. Right. And we're only seeing the bits of information that match our beliefs, and what's important to us, and our, you know, and our values. And so there's so much more potential and opportunity for people, and you don't have to know what it is and why. You just have to know what you don't even have to know what you want, other than I want to feel good, or I want to know what I'm missing, or I want to feel fulfilled, or, you know, that's knowing what you want.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. Wow, Susan, we could talk for like hours, I know, and we have. So I want to kind of wrap it up here. So first of all, can you put in the comments, like, the books that you mentioned, you know, how to get a hold of you, just any information that you want to sprinkle in the comments, so that people can have some great resources, and how people can get a hold of you and embark on this journey. Just incredible. So any last words for the audience?
You deserve to feel good. When you feel good, it creates a ripple effect in this world that is so needed. And you think that you're just putting on this face, but energetically people can feel it. And when you're not living the truth of who you are, you deserve it. And when you're not, it doesn't only hurt you, it hurts the people around you. So be a part of the change. It starts in, and it can be easy. It doesn't have to be hard. I mean, it takes work, but we don't have to go through decades of therapy anymore. This is much faster and powerful, and you have the power within you. So please call me and let's talk.
Let's do it. Unbelievable. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, your wisdom, your knowledge, your expertise. It looks like you're really helping people. Well, I know that you are, to really make change and really start a new life for themselves. So thank you again so much. I just think you're amazing. I really, you're So have an amazing day. Thank you. And please share this, because I know that there are people that really need to hear this message.
Thank you. Yes. Thanks so much, Dale. Have a wonderful day.